Hey everybody, it's Miss Chernovec. It is Wednesday of our first week back at school. So today our focus is entirely on getting to know each other. I have a PowerPoint presentation. It might take me two different videos to get through it because I like to talk about myself. I'm kidding, I'm not that vain. But it is a lot of information and I don't want to speed through it and overwhelm you with stuff. So I'd rather take my time and enjoy it. But there will be questions along the way for you guys to also answer. So typically during the school year, we would do it, together in class. But what I will do instead is have a discussion board at the end of the video for anyone who's not doing the live Zoom call, or you can just post it whenever. Otherwise, we'll talk about things in the Zoom call too. So with that being said, let's get started. If I seem a little tired, it's because I actually already went through the presentation and recorded myself and then realized that this screen never shrunk down. So you missed all of my PowerPoint presentation and it was just like me talking about myself for 15 minutes. So it was very boring. So I'm a little tired now. But you know what? Teachers are still learning how to use technology too. We're figuring it out along with you. So just have grace and patience with us and we will get going. All right, so getting to know Miss Chernovec. There you go. That's how you spell my name. And now it's not working. There we go. All right, a little bit about me. So I was born in Tennessee back in September of 1985. So it's almost my 35th birthday. Woot woot. Not excited about that at all. But that does mean that I am old enough to be your mom. Or to be good friends with your mom. So if you're one of my kids that needs to have a lot of call homes, maybe your mom and I will become besties. Who knows? Wait and see. But I grew up mainly in Maryland, and my family is largely in New Jersey and Pennsylvania and Delaware. So I'm very much an East Coast girl, a Yankee. I've got a different kind of accent from people that are from Texas. If you are from any of those places, please let me know because I love meeting people from the East Coast that are Texas transplants also. Speaking of transplanting, I moved to Texas right after college in 2007. My dad and my mom moved down here for my dad's job. So I followed them, and since I studied film and theater, right before the big recession hit in 2007, which is around the time y'all were born, it was just really hard to kind of break the industry and get the ball rolling in that way. And so I did what most people in their 20s did during the that time period. I worked in retail. I was a nanny, which I actually really loved being a nanny. I love little kids, like little kids. And then what happened? And then I eventually, I was actually going to originally go into physical therapy or occupational therapy, and I started taking classes for that. But life just kind of threw some redirections into the situation, and I ended up pursuing teaching. And I got my alternative certification for Texas. So I basically had to teach myself how to become a teacher. And my first year teaching, my first 2 years actually, was at a charter school down in near Galveston, between Galveston and Houston. And I taught social studies my first 2 years. But let me go back a little bit and tell you about why I fell in love with theater arts and theater in general. My sixth grade year was an awful year. Very, very awkward. I was one of those kids who I didn't feel like I had anything that I was good at. I didn't have anything that I was passionate about. I really didn't have a sense of knowing who I was. And middle school is very much a time for figuring out who you are, what makes you tick, what makes you excited, and kind of the area that you want your life to take off with. So if you're coming into sixth grade and you already feel like you know who you are, and you know what your plans are for the future, just know that you are not the majority. Most kids coming into middle school are very lost and figuring out not only who they are, but who they are from being a child to becoming an adult. So that's totally normal. But my sixth grade year, because of that kind of identity crisis, was very hard. And like I said, I didn't have a thing that I loved to do. So my seventh grade year, the fall of my seventh grade year, my parents put me into a theater program on the weekends. And I still remember the first time that I walked into that theater, and it was just instant. Like I felt like I went home. It felt like a place that I belonged. The people felt like family right away. Like it was safe to be myself, to be silly, to have a voice, to be creative. And I kind of promised as a seventh grader that the rest of my life I would find some way to give back to theater, whether it was acting or going to see shows or working as a tech or whatever. So there have been periods in my life where I haven't been able to do theater. And those times just are very hard. You almost feel like you're not yourself when you're not doing the thing that you love doing. So, what I urge you all to do this year in theater arts, even if theater in general is not the thing that you love to do, really make your time in middle school being about finding that thing that you love to do and focusing on it and sharing it with me and with others. That's how we get to know each other, is finding out what we're all passionate about. So moving forward, in high school, I was super into my high school theater program. I worked my way up the ladder from being the gopher person in ninth grade who was like a servant to everyone, to by the time I was a senior, I was the president of my drama club. I was the only student in like 20 years who wrote and directed a show, a full-length show, for the spring show. And actually, I still have a picture from that show hanging by my desk. There's me in the very middle with my cast. I wrote and directed my own version of Sleeping Beauty. I designed the set. I designed the costumes. I did the whole thing. My teacher trusted me that much that she just let me kind of run with it. And here's me. Oop, I knocked stuff over. Here's me with my teacher. That was Miss Waters. Her nickname was Ace. And that's at the Thespian Awards my senior year, where I got my medal for how much work I did and got recognized for my efforts in school. So I'm telling you all of that so that you understand this is not just a job for me. This is something that I am very passionate about. It's something that has been the focus of my life since I was your age. So that's more than half of my life now that I have been a member of the theater family. And these pictures, there we go. I'm still learning how to figure out which way the cameras go. So these pictures, on the top is from a show I was in college called Trojan Women. That's me with my arms like this in the center. And then the other one down below where I have the orange hair is actually the last show that I got to be in. And I played a teenager even though I was 28 years old. But that's the last time I got to be in a show, y'all, was right before I became a teacher. Because teaching is hard. And so that's kind of what keeps you sometimes from doing the things you love, is that your life and your responsibilities kind of get in the way. But when I became a teacher, like I said, I lost a lot of free time. My husband was in school to become a chiropractor. And then in October of 2017, we found out that we were pregnant with my daughter. And she just was such a blessing. My life is all about her. I am obsessed with her. Her name is Evelyn Ruth. She was born 2 months early on May 3rd. Of 2018 and spent 5.5 weeks in the NICU. She is the light of my life. I am obsessed with her. And now she is 2. Here she is now. She's laying on my dog's head in that one picture. And the other one is when we got my cat Bo. That's the day that we went and adopted him. And she's obsessed with cats. Obsessed. Actually with cats and dogs. She's just like me in that aspect. but she is just the sweetest. And I'll talk about her all the time. I'll show you pictures all the time. That's Evie Rue. Also, this fella right here is my nephew, Jacoby. He's my brother's son. He's only 4, but he's already like up to my shoulders. He's the biggest kid ever. But he's my bud. And my mom watches Jacoby and Evie while I am at work. So they're practically brother and sister. And then I also have my 2 nieces, Lily and Mia. They're around y'all's age. They live in Georgia, so I don't get to see them very often. Haven't seen them actually since last summer, but they are a lot of fun. And then here are my fur babies. Apollo is my boxer. He just turned 7 in January, and he went from being like a puppy to being an old man in the span of like a day. And then I got Bo. I've always wanted to have a gray cat and never have, so I got him as a kitten. And there's Bobo, and he has this weird obsession with like biting you out of love. So he'll just kind of like nibble on you a little bit, and it really freaks me out because I don't like it when animals bite you. So that's a random little fact. So here's some of the things I'm going to ask you about in our discussion. So just be mindful of those, like where you're from. Tell me about your family or who you live with and who your favorite people are. What do you want me as your teacher to know? So I realize that might be a little personal. So if there's anything that you guys ever want me to know, even if it's something that happens throughout the school year, but you don't want the class to know, just go ahead and shoot me a message, or we can set up like a time to talk after school one day on Zoom or whatever, or during a parent-teacher conference if you want your parent involved also. So yeah. These will all be asked in the discussion questions. Oh, did I skip stuff? No, I didn't. Okay. So my first 2 years here were a bit rough, but I accomplished my goal both years to place in district competition for UIL One Act play. I don't know if that's going to happen this year because we don't know if we're going to have UIL One Act play this year. But my goal is to place again. I'm very competitive. We have, I think, a good show picked out for this year if we're able to do it. So we'll see. It's just a matter of time. But I like showing off my awards, so there they are. A few of my favorite things, I'm actually going to stop here, and we'll finish out these slides in the second video. This video is already getting really long. So we'll just stop here. I will pick it up in a few minutes. So after this video, go back and answer those few things from the previous slide. And then we'll revisit these other things in a different discussion board, all right? All right.